0913-6000-420 or send an email to info@mainlandfm.com.
Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos.
Good morning to you, Lagos, Nigeria. Welcome once again to another exciting episode of Mother and Child here on Mainland 98.3 FM. As you know, aside from talking about politics, the state of governance, it's also important that we take care of ourselves. And of course, what is taking care of yourself if we're not paying attention to women and children that constitute majority of society? And allow me to be biased this morning because I am a woman. But yes, Mother and Child, of course, is a health show specially curated for women and children in the society. And of course, we try to explain to you the relevance of these conversations because a healthy society is definitely a wealthy society. My name is Sage BABALOLA, by the way. Once again, you are listening to Mainland 98.3 FM. I do have with me a guest who I would be introducing as we lay the foundation for today's conversation. And for Mother and Child today, we would be focusing on breastfeeding awareness. As you know, World Breastfeeding Week is celebrated annually from 1st to 7th of August to encourage breastfeeding and improve the health of babies all around the world. And the theme for this year's breastfeeding awareness is Let's Make Breastfeeding and Work. All right, this was an idea that was born out of the socioeconomic realities of the country, the fact that there's a dynamic shift in the labor market and we have women who have to go out there and work, and this in a way has influenced their ability to breastfeed their children. Certain changes have had to be made as something that is a concern for the World Health Organization and other health facilities, and that is why the conversation is being had today. So today on the show, we're also going to play our part in advocacy and trying to sensitize people, and for that to happen, luckily for us, we have somebody who's, an expert in that particular field and has interacted with many mothers who have given birth, who have breastfed, and will be able to give us deeper insight into breastfeeding awareness and everything that we need to know. Here in the studio with me is Mrs. Eunice Akhigbe, who is a Wellbeing Foundation Africa digital midwife. Good morning to you, ma'am. Thank you for being here again.
Good morning, Sage. Thank you for having me.
Of course. I'm really happy. I'm excited that you're the one that came, really, because it's always interesting to have a conversation with you. All right. Yes. So, of course, to properly sensitize people, they have to know what we're sensitizing them about. So we're talking breastfeeding awareness, in the large scale, but let's start small and first explain what exactly breastfeeding as a concept means. So what is breastfeeding?
Okay, good morning once again, and thank you for having me. Breastfeeding is a process actually of feeding a baby with milk, with the breast milk from the breast of the mother. So it's just as simple as that. A process of feeding the baby with milk from the breast of the mother.
Right. Okay. So you've heard it, feeding the baby with milk from the breast of the mother. I think the word in itself is already self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Breastfeeding, feeding from the breast. Right. So whilst I was doing my introduction, I did reference, recommendations from the World Health Organization and other health facilities on breastfeeding, especially exclusive breastfeeding. There are recommendations of something for a breastfeeding schedule, if you allow me call it that, how long you're supposed to breastfeed the child for before you start introducing complementary food and what have you. So talk to us about that recommendation. As a new mother, how long are you expected to breastfeed your child for? Exclusive breastfeeding, when is it okay for you to introduce other foods, among other things? So yeah, talk to us about that.
Okay, from WBFA, WHO recommendations, we're supposed to breastfeed our babies for the first 6 months of life exclusively with breast milk. Exclusively, without water, without pacifier, without any other thing, and for the next 2 years with family feed. So for the first 6 months of life, you're just giving breast milk only, and after the first 6 months of life, you introduce other family feed, which we may call complementary feeding,
right,
for the next 2 years.
So 6 months, nothing but breast milk, then after 6 months, it doesn't mean you will stop breastfeeding. You will still be breastfeeding,
exactly.
But now you are allowed to add complementary foods and to the diet of the child. Okay, so you've heard it. Exclusive breastfeeding does not mean that after the 6 months you stop breastfeeding your child. It just means that you're allowed to feed them other things alongside the breast milk. Okay, so let's now start talking about some of the intricacies and deeper part of this conversation, and we're talking about the natural progression of breastfeeding. There's the bond, there's the the mother to child connection that forms here, but let's focus first on the natural progression of breastfeeding, the stages from even initiating the production of the milk to maintaining the production of the milk, among other things. Is there a stage? If there are stages, what are these stages and what constitutes the different stages in the natural progression of breastfeeding?
Okay, there is what we call the 10 steps to successful breastfeeding for mothers. It's going to start, I'm going to start it this way. I had to take down this point because they are I needed to follow it step by step.
Okay.
Just the way you mentioned, it's a progression. So it's going to start, normally preparation for breastfeeding starts during pregnancy.
Yeah.
Once the woman is pregnancy has been confirmed, antenatal classes, and she's been taught what she should do in preparation for breastfeeding. One of it is immediately put her baby to breast, and the reason for this is because after delivery milk for the baby. So the sucking reflex of this baby is what is going to send the message to the brain, to that part of the brain, to tell the brain we no longer need to send that message to the brain, and so that the proper hormone can be released to help produce the milk. You lubricate the nipple. The mother should lubricate the nipple frequently, and also this is going to, I don't want to mention some, but early, to help pull out the nipple to ensure prominence, so that when the baby latch on, the baby can latch on properly. So this is one of the points. Then again, there is regular cleansing of the nipple. It's not where the breast milk is being stored. It's only a passage, an avenue for the milk itself that has been produced to pass through and come out to enter into the baby's mouth. So on the nipple you have ducts, openings on the nipple. So these ducts are at times are being plugged. Then after that, the next point I want to go to is mothers should initiate breast milk within 1 hour of birth, which I have said earlier on. Is larger than and everything that needs to that are tight should be avoided at that point. That is baby. Don't bend towards baby. You bring it here. Mothers complain their backs are paining them because of bending, and after a while they tend to get tired easily, also because of position, and as well correctly attached to the breast. So it makes it easier to...
This is Eunice Akhigbe is here in the studio. So you should go to our streaming platform, Facebook or 98.3 FM, mainland 98.3 FM. Go and join our live stream so that you can see what we're practicing or showing you how your baby is well fed. So, Miss Eunice.
So don't laugh at my baby.
It's a mannequin.
The curve. So the baby is there, and I have my palm holding the bum of the baby to face. The baby is looking at you, you're looking at the baby, your tummy is close to the baby. Like the baby can stay on the storage center because underneath the ferrous tubules and goes straight is the as I described it. This want the water to come out enough for me to be able to withdraw milk from the mother's breast. Then the lip of the baby have to stay. You use the word charm, latch on properly on the areola, and then compress it so that the milk can come out through the ducts on the nipple. So once this is seat that has a backrest, and so that she can rest, she can sit down comfortably. And if that seat is bending, tilting backward, then she needs the baby up to her, so she will not have to bend towards the baby. So this is very important. Like I said, it should be well positioned. Then again,
I'm sorry, how would you know that it's empty?
Fine, that's a very good question.
Right.
Of course, this breast was engorged, full. Initially before the baby started breastfeeding. So as why that's that the hand inside the milk. So why do I need to into this baby? Because we don't want this baby before breastfeeding, after change of diaper, after cooking, after returning from outside, maybe you went to the market, or you went to spread your clothes out, whatever. I think I have exhausted the point because when it comes to breastfeeding, I'm like, keep
the child has access to the milk, and certain tips that mothers need to incorporate into their breastfeeding practice, the most important part. If you're just joining us, this is Mother and Child. This is some health-related conversations that happen dedicated to creating awareness. I told you how to go about milk production, sustaining production. Also, the Health Organization is for 6 months, and then this should continue for 2 years in addition to complementary food. All right, we'll open the phone lines, meaning that you can call in and add messages 0913 6000 430 Africa. Now let's talk about the benefit.
Acronym breastfeeding. Now the B stands for best for baby. Of course, like I tell mothers whenever I have the opportunity, and during our mama care class, I speak to them and I say, the food you prepared and the one God prepared, which one is better? The most easiest food that can be digest other food. You don't need to spend money. It's there, prepared. It's already there, so it's affordable. You can easily access it. Then again, it costs too. Excuse me. What has happened is not cold. Everything is within normal. Then feeding also is normal. You don't need to stress yourself. Go through the process of bonding. Right. Bringing now to the baby that has been since this is not my mom's breast. There is, or he knows that this is not for the breast. They'll spend money going to get it. Then the cognitive development of the newborn, the nutrients that is inherent in the breast milk helps in the cognitive development of the newborn. So to divide the womb, the uterus was in a certain shape, and as the first immunization for the baby, exclusively breastfed hardly falls ill. You will see the research that has proven that composition and for the growth and development of this baby. And then the G, of course, gastroenteritis not there. There is no need. The child is free from any gastroenteritis challenges, no diarrhea, no cholera, because everything is in the right proportion. So there is no over, there is no below. Everything is well composed inside the breast milk. Right.
We're going to get this acronym and what it means so that we can share it on our social media page as well. Yes, for those of you who are probably not able to assimilate everything that's being said because of our time, not to worry, we'll take out all these parts and put it on our social media platform so that you can read it and you can actually rewatch most of the programs that we have. The body readjusts about the benefit. Let's talk about the consequences of like an abrupt termination of breastfeeding. In the event that there is an abrupt termination of breastfeeding, a mother stops
of stopping breastfeeding abruptly, then diarrhea, and that is one of the infection, anemia, because you see that mothers tend to go the next thing they want to go to for formula, or they want to do other things to just to feed their baby. And at the end, such is going to be exposed to conditions like at the same breast milk will keep being produced. And
please breastfeed your child, okay? Please try and breastfeed your child. And speaking of, things that might most likely prevent congenital diseases, or they're preterm and they have to be in the intensive care unit for newborns, or NICU if you like. This is a conversation that was had in the webinar, I believe, and that's why I decided to bring it back so people can enjoy the privilege of this conversation. Now, you have a baby who's preterm, obviously, maybe they have to be in an incubator or they have to be in the intensive care unit. I know that breastfeeding can be very challenging for a mother like that, or for a situation like that. So what can be done to aid a mother to still in a way make breast milk available for that child depending on the situation?
Okay, in the Wellbeing Foundation Africa, we have what is called the Mama Care Baby Friendly Initiative. Now, and also we have our neonatal intensive care unit, Medela program, in partnership, Wellbeing program in partnership with Medela, where we donated breast pumps to facilities so that mothers can pump. For the fact that your baby is premature, is born premature, or has some kind of challenges and is on the midwife, there are some babies that can come into the gift to the babies. So for breast much enough for them to allow anybody walking, need to do is go in there and then take it out and feed.
Breast milk will still not do what it's supposed to do for the child. Yeah. All right. So again, there are situations where mothers are more than ready to breastfeed their children, but their body does not agree with them. And what I mean is that they're not producing the amount of milk that they would like to. In fact, in some cases, no production. In other cases, production, but is insufficient for the child. So if you'd educate us on what are some of the factors that can lead to a woman's body not producing a milk, whatever the case may be, maybe disease, is it mental, can even be emotional, talk to us about all the things that might be responsible for the body's refusal to produce milk for the child.
Okay, before I go into that, I want to say here that for breastfeeding, supply and demand goes hand in hand. So it is as much as is being withdrawn from the breast that is being produced by the breast, by the breast cells. So the more the baby suckle, the more breast milk comes in. So if the baby is not suckling well, the breast milk is not being withdrawn from the breast well. At the point, that is what happens during weaning. At a point, you just see that it will dry up.
You don't need it.
Yeah, the breast milk is not flowing any longer. So some of the challenges that mothers go through that makes them or stops them or inhibits effective breastfeeding is, one, if the mother is emotionally stressed. There are some kind of conditions that this new mom could find herself. It could be in the home. It could be as a result of workplace challenges. It could be any other thing. It could be financial constraint. And then a lot of stress is going on. A lot of things is going on in her head. And some hormones that are released that are not working alongside, that are not allowing the production of prolactin. Hormones like cortisol can affect, can affect the production of breast milk. And so before you know it, there is reduction in breast milk flow. Then the next thing is there could be some certain disease condition. Then these mothers could also be on certain medication like anti-cancer drugs. So this can affect breast milk production, getting support to help her, and she doesn't have the required with cup and spoon as much as the baby can take. But if she lack this knowledge, she's going to stay back.
There's a very strong connection between the emotional balance of the mother and her ability to respond, or the ability of her body to respond to the great subject for conversation one of these days on the program Mother and Child. Even postpartum depression can actually cause your body to respond. So hormone production, like the stress hormone cortisol, can also cause the woman's body to not produce adequate milk, among other things. Should I say cause discomfort for the woman that would make her withdraw from breastfeeding her child? And again, yourself in the question, what this new mothers, primary plus mothers, some of the
venue for the milk to come out and get into the baby's mouth. So the nipple is not where the milk is. The milk is in the alveoli, and the areola is the baby to press out. I want to use that word, to be able to press out, but the right word is express the breast milk. Is for you to the baby to charm on the areola. So once the baby latch on the breast, then surely the baby is holding on to the nipple. And in the course of pulling the nipple, there's going to be set to the extreme. They bleed. And when they bleed for I can't do this. This pain is much. I think the pain of the mother told us some time ago in one of our mama care classes that her mom said, leave the baby there, let the baby be sucking. It is the sucking that will heal
the crack.
Exactly. So you can imagine those kind of understanding. And I know that one of the reasons why the mother told her that is because possibly that mother is somehow informed to an extent, knowing that the breast milk is very important, regardless of whether you're going through pain or not. That baby must breastfeed while the wound heals. The baby through cup and spoon. So once there is pain, of course, this woman is a human being. She's going to feel pain, and she's uncomfortable. She's not in her right mood to sit and breastfeed her
that baby. Can even trigger the emotional distress you were talking about.
Exactly. So you can imagine that is also going to affect the flow of the milk. So she needs to be comfortable. Remember that part. She needs to be comfortable. Just as we want her to breastfeed her people, the best option is depending on the extent of the crack. It's either you still breastfeed. If it is just at times the crack could just be on the body of the nipple, and it may just be a little crack if we examine it. So if you can still breastfeed, that's fine. But if not, express so that baby does not lose the benefit of the breast milk.
Right. All right. Let's talk about certain conditions where it now becomes medically necessary for you to not breastfeed your child. I know you already gave, certain examples of health-related condition if you're on chemotherapy drugs or you're suffering from conditions. Yeah. But then talk to us about, just give us a few examples because of our time, where even your doctor would tell you, please do not take your breast anywhere near that child. So what are some of the conditions that you are not allowed to breastfeed your child?
If that woman is going for breast surgery and she's not on antiretroviral, if she's on antiretroviral, they could come to an agreement somehow, but if she's not on antiretroviral, then she can't breastfeed that child, because we don't want her to transmit the infection to that baby. Then the next thing is it's allowed to to breastfeed the baby.
Right. We had a conversation. Go get yourself out. There's a possibility of not restrain the conversation to that particular team, was why I allowed us to talk about different aspects before closing. Home, have kids, breastfeed your child, and wait for your hunter husband to bring bushmeat home, right? I just needed to give that at any leave at work, maybe 3 months, and they have to get back to work. Juggling work, providing for the family, breastfeeding your child, especially during the period of and they are new mothers. How do you think they can balance working as a working mother and making sure that the nutritional needs of their babies via breast milk are still met?
Okay, so the first thing is, as a working mother, you have to have a schedule when you breastfeed, when you are with your baby, and then when the baby is not with you for purpose of work. Of course, they will have the first maternity leave, either 3 months or 6 months, and then you have this maternity leave. At the end of it, you need to return back to work. You need to plan yourself. If you're taking the baby to work and then you're going to place the baby in maybe
a nursery or something
close to your work, then it is fine. You express, or possibly you take during work time. You could have is it off day, off time, or break in between work, or you just walk out and then go to the nursery and then you breastfeed this baby. So you have to plan, and that means the workspace, there should be policies that supports breastfeeding. Policies, workplace policies that support breastfeeding. This is very important, so as to ensure that the baby does not lose out all because the mother had to return to work. Then again, for mothers that are business women and need to return back to their businesses and all of that, they just need your soul that you also have baby with that milk. Please don't return it back. The woman should be able to express enough for the period she's not going to be, and that they're going to go to work the next morning. Some prefer to express in the morning. Whichever is good, is comfortable for the mother.
Text for this conversation. The theme for this year's their work in conversation. I can only mothers and children in the society and beyond. My name is Selfish, and we're picking mothers. Enjoy all of the shows coming your way. Please do not tune off.